evening. Well, it's splendid to have so many people here. And there's quite a waiting list, actually. Too late now, of course, but they are full, thank goodness. No, it's great. And I think we're going to have a very special evening. Dame Kiri was actually trained at the London Opera Centre, which was a precursor to the National Opera Studio. Very similar, just called something different. And so she's had a long association with the National Opera Studio and has long supported it and been close to many students and supported some individuals there as well, as is in fact the case now. And so it's a huge pleasure to have here to talk about her life and work, but also music in general and training, etc., with Mark Shanahan. To introduce the evening, we're going to have two very special people, our Chief Executive, Emily Gottlieb, and our Artistic Director, Kathryn, Harries. So to tell you about the evening and to introduce what's going to happen, you'll see lots of singers assembled here to entertain us as well as the interview. Please welcome Emily Gottlieb.
Well, thank you, Vernon, and I really must say thank you to Vernon because and Lady Hazel, because not only is this a wonderful place in which to hold an evening like this, he's also the most fantastic chairman of the National Opera Studio, and since he is chairman of many other places as well, including the Great British Council, I think we count ourselves extremely lucky to have him on board. Thank you. Many of you will know a little bit about the National Opera Studio, but I do just want to take this opportunity to tell you a small amount about it. There'll be a little bit of information in your packs about us, and you can grab any one of us to ask millions of more questions if you have them. But just to say, I spent about 13 years actually at the Royal Opera House. So I came from a career as a stage manager at the kind of heart of opera, really, performing, or rather alongside performers such as Placido Domingo, Leo Nucci, Owen Schrott, Jonas Kaufmann. I mean, I could go on and on and on. Fantastic singers. And I worked out when I was applying for this wonderful job that I'd worked with over 90 National Opera Studio alumni on the stage of Covent Garden, which I think you'll agree is a pretty impressive number. But we worked out this year that in the last season alone, there were 33 of our alumni performing in the 14-15 Royal Opera House season, 31 in the English National Opera season, 26 WNO, 24 at Opera North, 22 at Glyndebourne, and 21 at Scottish Opera. Not bad. So the artists that you hear tonight are on their journey to become what we hope will be the stars of the future. And of course, Dame Kiri is herself such a fantastic star, and I'll leave Kathryn to talk more about Dame Kiri. We are extremely fortunate to have the support of Dame Kiri, both for one of our young artists, but also for her support of us in general. She's a great mentor. She comes to talk at the studio. She brings people to her house. She mentors and coaches people, and that's a huge support to us. So I'd like to say my personal thanks to Dame Kiri as well. We have a number of other sort of relatively impressive statistics. We worked out as well that 80% of everyone who's come through the National Opera Studio has sung at least one of the 6 main opera companies in the UK. And we're very closely associated with these companies. All of the artists that you see singing tonight have been chosen not only by the staff at the National Opera Studio, but also by the senior artistic and music staff of all 6 opera companies. We're the only opera studio in the world that is connected with 6 opera houses. So without further ado, I'm going to thank you all very, very much for coming. It's wonderful to see such a lot of you here tonight, and to pass over to my wonderful artistic director, Kathryn Harries. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming this evening. I hope you're all going to enjoy our offering. I'd like to say thank you particularly to Vernon and Hazel for hosting us again. Vernon is our chairman and he takes no prisoners at all. And we're very, very fortunate that he gives us so much support. I first met Kiri in 1998. I had idolised her for all my career to that point. And I was lucky enough to sing with her at the Met with Andrew Davis in John Cox's production of Capriccio. And I was terrified. And she was just great. She was just so friendly and welcoming and lovely. And I can't tell you, just to be on stage, the same stage as that lady, stop it. Yeah, she keeps doing that. Anyway, to be on the same stage was an amazing privilege, and to stand at the end before I had to leave, and you remember go and get you a glass of champagne to be ready when you came on stage, to just stand and hear this sound pouring out of this wonderful artist was one of the things that I shall remember and treasure forever and ever. So we did the same thing at Glyndebourne later in the year, and again it was absolutely fantastic. And I saw this other side of Kiri with the sort of country girl. There we were in the country, and there she was, a country girl, absolutely grand. And when I started as director, it'll be nearly 8 years ago. It was fast. I was young then, and when I started, I talked to Kiri about it, and bless her, she came in and she worked with the trainees in the very first year. She has kept an eye on us, and when I asked her back in the summer if she would possibly, in addition to the support she gives us anyway, do this evening, it was an immediate yes, for which I'm extremely grateful. Thank you all very much for coming. I think I shall now hand over to Dame Kiri, who will be talking with Mark Shanahan, our brilliant head of music. And I am quite sure that everything that these two have to say will resonate with all our young artists, and they will remember these words for the rest of their lives. So, ladies and gentlemen, Dame Kiri Te Kanawa and Mark Shanahan.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, everybody.
Dame Kiri, can I say me too? It's a great pleasure to share a stage with you. I'm not able to sing this evening, if that's all right. But if we can just do some questions. It's a great privilege being the head of music at the National Opera Studio. Why? Because we genuinely are a very good team. We have really excellent young artists to work with. And then there's a rumour going around the building that Dame Kiri Te Kanawa really wants to help. And that's an amazing moment in the building like ours. What I'd like to do this evening is try and link a little bit of your stage at their time.
Well, you can make the first thing that I was a National Opera Studio student.
Exactly.
That's the very first one.
Exactly.
Although it was called the London Opera Centre at the time. So it was an incredible link because I was in the second year of the beginning of the National Opera Studio.
So you came over from New Zealand, and a lot of our students, even though we're called the National Opera Studio, it is open to other countries. What was it like coming to England as a young singer and setting up a new home for yourself? And
it was Carnaby Street and Beagles.
marvellous.
You can imagine, but not much study got done.
Good.
Not much study at the London Opera Centre, especially by me.
Why was that?
Because I was having too much fun.
So what was fun for the young Kiri?
Shopping.
Good.
They said, what's she doing? She's supposed to be studying. I said, shopping. Oh, it was wonderful. London was wonderful at those in the 1960s. It was the most fantastic place. So my first year, I think, was just a bit of a fudge.
Really?
And that's unfortunately that has dragged along for the last 50 years. This terrible student thing. You make a mistake in the first year, it follows you forever.
No.
I promise you, and it's there. I can't get rid of it.
Good. So when you were
As a director you should be saying, well, we'll try and help you, we'll try and obliterate the bad record and stuff.
No, not at all. Just live with it, live with it. So, here's Kiri Te Kanawa from New Zealand, coming to sing, but largely being found in shops.
Never found.
You never found as well?
They never found.
It's even cleverer than that.
It was good. I never got caught out. They knew where I was, but they couldn't find me.
So our young people here, they sometimes have to go and have something that's called a masterclass. Did you ever manage a masterclass?
I did.
What's your view on masterclass?
Horrible.
Really?
Absolutely the worst.
Why?
Because it was the first and last one I ever did. It was with Dame Kiri Te Kanawa, and she cremated me. She did. She literally cremated me in front of a whole audience, and I thought, hang on, I'm better than that. And I'm not being silly here. I came out of that so furious. It gave me the spark to never do a masterclass in my life again, and go against everything she said. Everything. In fact, some of the things were quite right. But the masterclass was in such a way that someone said, oh no, she was awful to you. I said, oh, and I made a few nasty comments, and which got into the paper, unfortunately.
Oh.
And that wasn't good. And I had some nasty letters coming back at me. I was very young. For goodness sake, I was 22. And this wonderful old woman, who I didn't know who she was, but she was famous. And of course, now we have much more respect for these people if I'd known who she was. But at that time in my life, I was this bumptious, very proud Maori who couldn't be told anything, and I'd do shopping and study what's that, and fencing. I could do some fencing, and off I'd go again because I had a car.
Yeah. And
not many students have cars today. And there I was, parked outside the London office, and so I was having a fabulous time. But the masterclass was a bit of a sort of a turning point, because since that moment, and I've watched others. And I thought, if I ever do this again, I'll never, ever, ever make the mistake of showing a student that they're wrong or anything. That you must come out of a masterclass with a student feeling they're 1,000,000% right, because that's what they're there for. They have earned this right to be there. For goodness sake, the fees are enough. But the thing is to earn your place to have a masterclass. They all sign for it, and I know they love the masterclasses, but don't destroy them. It's the worst thing I could do, and if I have done, I would stop doing it if I've destroyed anything. I just absolutely hate it, and that's been since 1966, 67, and I've kept that in my mind all my life, is to never ever upset a student. Be firm, but don't destroy them ever.
Yeah. Who were the artists you admired when you were studying?
Well, as I've gone through life a little bit, they've grown. But of course, Joan Southern was one of mine. And
do you remember the first time you heard her live?
It's sort of. It's a long way back there. But what it was the dream. I was in New Zealand, and I was thinking about being an opera singer. Thinking about it. Didn't know how to get there, of course. But she had done this big scene in big tour in Australia. This unbelievable, gorgeous woman who could sing all these notes and stuff, and I thought, that's really good. And she's Australian, so that's fairly close. New Zealand, Australia, maybe moving closer. Where did she go? All that sort of thing. So I looked at her and I thought she was pretty good.
Yeah.
And then of course my next one was Leontine Price.
Will you tell us something about her?
Well, I met her several times, and I sang. I was the offstage voice in Aida for her for 23 performances, I think. And she would come back and say, "You've got a very nice voice, young lady."
Well, at least she had taste. Well.
She'd come and say hi to me and things like that. And then she was at an interview and a thing I did not so long ago. She was on one of those. But I went to see her backstage many times. And she was a great lady, great lady.
So the life of a world-class singer can seem very glamorous to us, the public and students. But as we know, the public don't often get to see the hard work.
No.
And the loneliness.
No.
I want to ask you some of the practicalities of being a singer for our young artists. So, can I give you a situation?
Please.
So you have a conductor who's adamant about a tempo and other matters, and Dame Kiri disagrees. How do you persuade the conductor? What was your strategy?
Well,
here we go. All microphones should now go on.
before we got up to that stage of he only wants to sit at this stage, we've had a few words in the room before.
Lovely.
Lots of quiet words.
And how does it
And
start?
never ever, because I always was subservient at all times, so it's hard to do. But I was, no, I wasn't. But I was always, we'd always agree. There was never a sort of a thing about, this is the way I'm going to do it. I say, well, can I just breathe there then, please? Would you allow me to do that? And he's saying, are you having difficulty? Oh, yes, I'm having a little difficulty. If it could go a little bit slower, I could get the breath in time and I wouldn't hold you up. So I'd always sort of make it like it was difficult for me and that he would make it easier. And the conductor, if you plead to their generosity, I've really never had a dispute with a conductor ever, because there's always a small talk quietly. I never would ever talk to somebody, a conductor certainly not, in front of anybody, that if I had a small argument. Never. It was always private, and it was always be a quiet moment.
Very good.
And I think those are the best. And never talk to the orchestra. Always ask the conductor if the flutist could play a little bit softer, or the oboe. I couldn't hear the oboe, or I couldn't hear that first note there, or just those. But never ever speak to that instrumentalist direct, because the conductor is the leader. So I would always respect who is my boss.
So you've an exciting new role. You've done all your work, all your preparation, and you arrive. Did you ever not like the set? Ever not like the costume? Like, this isn't how it's in my head, honey.
There were one or two, but no. There's one in particular that was in a situation that was a bit sort of fraught anyway, so I'd forget that one. There's one in 45 years. It's
really?
not bad.
That's good.
That's not bad. But I never had a costume that I really didn't like.
So you never said, no, I'm not doing this?
It was the only one that I found that was very uncomfortable. They decided to do it in the Victorian period, I think, at the Met, and they put extra padding. I said, honey, I don't need extra padding. They did all this stuff around the hips, and they had all this extra body inside, and it was, half an inch thicker than I was. It gave you an amazing waist, but it gave you amazing hips as well. So I said, take the lot out. You've got enough.
So we're all used to the term diva. How would you deal with colleagues that were selfish, that were diva in the not so healthy way?
I've had a few of them, I must say.
So let's begin.
One or two, and that one's very, very famous.
Which one is that? I sort of missed that name somewhere.
Amnesia. No, that one was quite difficult, and so I sidetracked every time I saw that person's name. I just said, I've got another job. I just preferred not to single that person. It's best. Take a holiday.
Take a holiday.
No, because there's no use putting yourself through hell when you know it's going to be hell. It's going to be absolutely horrendous. And that person put many singers through hell, and then was fired.
Yeah. Were you there for that day?
No, but I saw it.
So, not many of us have sung on a world-renowned stage like you have. And our job at the National Opera Studios, that's their aim. And in coaching rooms, it's very difficult to start talking about the Met when the room is 20 by 8. Can you remember your first opportunities on those huge stages? How did you deal knowing there were X thousand people, that it was sold out because it was this phenomenon, Kiri Te Kanawa, that was in the new production? What were your strategies?
Well, for a start, I did start in those little rooms. London Opera said that we had these soundless, horrendous, absolutely dry as it was the ugliest room. And I thought, well, it can only get better.
Very good.
And I always felt that room was just so shocking. That can only get better. So then I would go on somewhere like the Met and think, oh, this is good. And so I never thought that I would never get out of those rooms. I was back to the room and back to the real sound of your voice and what it really is, that horrible dry sound that you're producing, and are you forcing too much because you're in this dreadful little room. And I just got used to the bad rooms and all that stuff. It was part of what I thought it actually brought me back to earth because I needed it. I like that feeling of getting back to where I should be, because out in the grand of 4,300 seats of the Met or whatever it is 4,300. That is sort of fantasy, and I'm not into fantasy. I like reality. Reality to me is the dead room, and I'm back with the piano that's slightly out of tune, and the pianist doesn't know. All that sort of the nasty bits that you think it can only get better, and then you make it better because out there is a huge, wonderful audience, wonderful stage, wonderful. Costumes and everything. And I remember the first time at the Met was just like that. And I'd never sung on the Met stage in my life. And suddenly I'm out there because I'm the understudy.
Yes.
Did you know about
that?
Yes,
I did.
That was the funniest. That was the
came
funniest
earlier than the planned debut.
Yeah. And sort of you're out there, you've never seen the stage, and you're in the costume, and the first sound goes up, and the orchestra of Otello goes up, and you think,
here we go.
God. So what do? You breathe a lot. Breathe a lot to get up there and do the first note.
But can I push you a little further? Did you get nervous?
Yeah, for sure.
And
but that's part of the job.
It is part. That's why I'm asking for our lovely people. What were your strategies, techniques? Did anybody give you words of wisdom, or was it?
Words of wisdom. Well, I mean, from a very young age, I'm an incredibly shy person. You would never know that, but I am an incredibly shy person. And my parents pushed me out and they made me sing age 3 in front of everyone, and I hated it.
Did you? You remember hating that?
Oh yeah. My mother said, "You wait, I'll get you later. I'll talk to you later." And I'd think, oh God, I've got to go and sing. So I'd go and do it so she wouldn't talk to me later. I knew what was going to happen.
You knew what was going to happen.
Yeah. You sing for those people, because I'm telling you. So she was tough on me, and so I'm tough. I'm tough with the students. But to be nervous is part of the job. Now, how do you control it?
Yeah,
how do you control it? You figure out a way to control it. And I've worked with a lot of students. I had 10 at the time. I said, okay, we're going to do deep breathing here for the first 5 minutes before you go on. And as you walk up to the stage, you're breathing in for 5 and out for 5. And by the time you get up and sing your first inward breath, as you stand up on stage, you sing. Basically, there shouldn't be any puffy. You don't have the heartbeat. You've breathed and you've inhaled and you've exhaled and you've inhaled and you've exhaled all the way up to the stage. You should be able to take that breath and sing after that. You should. It doesn't always work, but that's what I hope.
Have we been inhaling, exhaling? Because I think it's time to exhale.
Exhale.
And ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to introduce some of our young artists for 2015-16 during the evening. And this is the first performance. Thank you very much.
As you can see, I'm not dressed as a boy tonight. However, I will be singing the aria of Cherubino from the Marriage of Figaro. In this aria, he earnestly asks, what is this feeling? What is love? Please, somebody tell me.
is Celine Forrest, and Michael and I will be singing the duet from Cosy Mantle.
This is also Amber. Amber, wonderful pianist. My name is William Morgan. I was singing Ferrando in this duet, and I, at this point, as Ferrando, have been trying to seduce this Fior di Vita for some time. And it hasn't worked at all. She's been incredibly, resolute, absolutely solid as a rock, as she says. And I'm pretty happy about that so far, because I definitely want to prove that people can be faithful, and it can be alright, and people can resist temptation. But I've just watched my partner being seduced and going off with another guy, and that has changed me.
gentlemen. My name is Ailis Davis and here's Romanus and we're complete by Rosangela, sorry. And we shall be singing a duet from Così fan tutte, Il cuore vi dono.
At this point, Guglielmo has dressed up as a Turk, so not to be recognized, and he's trying to seduce Dorabella successfully. L'accettate, l'accetto, infelice Ferrando, che diletto. Il cuore vi dona, e l'idolo mio, ma il vostro anch'io vi donatelo a me.
will sing for you Madamina from Don Giovanni, sung by Leporello. And this aria, well, basically, what he's saying is to Don Elvira, hey, don't get too upset. In Italy, he's had 600 odd ladies. Where else? In Germany, he's had maybe a couple of hundred. 100 in France. Spain, sorry. Oh. Thank you. But in Spain, 1,003. Can you imagine that hard work? But he leaves her with a parting phrase, and that is, anything with a skirt on. You know exactly what he's up to.
E consolatevi, non siete voi, non foste, non sarete, né la prima né l'ultima. Guardate, questo non picciol libro è tutto pieno dei nomi di sue belle, ogni villa, ogni borgo, ogni paese, e testimone di sue donnesche imprese. Madamina, il cavallo che questo, e le belle fanno il padrone mio, un cavallo pagliette io addio. Osservate, leggete con me, osservate, leggete con me. In Italia 640, in Lamagna 231, 100 in Francia, in Turchia 91, ma in Spagna son già 1.300. 1.300. Quante queste contadine, cameriere cittadine, quante queste baronesse, ma che sono i principesse per ogni grado, ogni forma, ogni età. In Italia 640, in Lamagna 231, 100 in Francia, in Turchia 91, ma in Spagna son già 1.300. 1.300. Van con queste contadine, cameriere, cittadine, van con queste baronesse, marchesani, principesse, e van ogni grado, ogni forma, ogni età, ogni forma, ogni età, ogni forma, ogni età. Nella bionda e la l'usanza la gentilezza
Dame Kiri, have you sung in Mozart?
Yes.
A little, a lot. To be serious, as you know, at this stage, our young artists are working a lot on Mozart, and a lot of their auditions for houses would be with Mozart. And just as somebody that's trying to help them, they're often told wonderful things such as you need a better line in your voice, you don't sound Mozartian enough, you don't understand the Mozartian style. Do you think such terms are helpful?
Well, I was never told any of that.
Good.
Any of that. You sing in the centre of the note, you put in as much legato as you can. The recits are far more important than the aria. Basically, just get that bit right. True, isn't it?
It is true.
It's true. Sing the recits like it's the audition piece. Cut out the aria and see if you get the job. When if you've done a good job on the recit, you don't have to sing the aria, basically. They want to hear the aria, of course. But the recits are the heart of, because it's telling a story, it is the heart of the song, the piece, the whole thing. But the aria is just the extension of what the singer can do. It's the show-off bit. But the recit, I mean, I would work on recits forever. I would go and just do recits. If I do a Figaro, I'd go in with a cover coaching of just the recits. That's it. Right. In the morning of the performance. It would always be topping and tailing all the recits, or doing all the recits, the whole thing. That's what it was all about.
And could you pass on a key to our young singers about how to enjoy singing recits, because they go in one room and they're told that's not right, they go into another room and they're told that is right. How do they own their own music?
Learn it well. You know, learn the language, make sure you've got all the stresses in the right place, learn the language, know what you're talking about. But the thing is, it should be a part of you. We've already mentioned this. It's all about you. If someone's taught you one way, that's their way. I listen to recits in many ways. We all have a certain pattern of doing recits. And you sort of you can do all that, but controls it. And so you could go on. You could put all your stresses in the right place, but if it's natural, it's all about you. I remember the Elvira, those recits. I mean, I would listen to a singer do the Elvira and I think, oh no, she's not doing it right. But that's her.
Lovely.
It's hers. It's not mine. My way was doing it a certain way. There, you have to find your way of doing these things. You shouldn't be stuck, you know.
Yeah, we're in this world, aren't we, of trying to get things to be perfect.
I never thought I couldn't do that. Have you ever done that?
No.
Have you ever got perfect?
No.
Have you ever arrived
Only
at...
in looks, but other than that, never.
It's true. It's true. Perfect.
Can we just dig into this a little bit more? What's wonderful about you is you have this incredible presence, and you said earlier, I hope I didn't misquote you, you know, as 22 years old, you were able to take on Diva Turner, and you just thought, this is me, and that is her. How do we let these people own Caribbean? No, I mean, a friend of mine, who, when I used to coach, she got a fantastic opportunity in Munich, and she was very excited. She got to Munich, and she had a half an hour rehearsal in Caribbean. She wasn't allowed to meet the conductor. She was shown the window she would fall out of, or into, whichever version they were doing at the time. And the costume. She had a costume fitting, and she put the costume on. It said, Teresa Baganza. And she said, oh yeah, Teresa Baganza, left alone on the Munich stage. She had to own that role, didn't she?
She had to, yes.
How do we help people know it's time to go into the deep end and stop trying to get it right, trying to be perfect? How do we invite them to think that way?
I think an incredible amount of pride. I mean, through my life, pride has been part of what I am because I'm Maori. And you might have heard of the All Blacks. It's full of pride. Every single one of them is full of pride. Wow. And it happens to be in rugby. But every one of those men would come up to you and go, in a sort of a way, that sort of thing. You go up to a rugby player and you never see it in several other rugby players. But having been in the All Blacks, in the same room with them, it's pounding with this sort of stance that they get. They put their feet on the ground, their chest goes, huh, and it's wonderful. It's I can't tell you the feeling it gives me. I'm getting a little old for that sort of thing. Pride is an amazing thing.
Do you think we should invite the rugby team to come and do it?
Yes.
That would. Would that be helpful?
I would think the girls are going to get advantages by this. Nice hokey, but I think the boys will too. But they just have to stand behind them and see what's happening from behind. But that's the sort of feeling I get when in everything that I've done. This sense of pride in what I'm doing. If I'm talking to somebody, a sense of pride of, you're interviewing me, and I'm very proud that you've given me this opportunity, and I respect all the questions that you're asking. You're thinking, how can I show off what you're asking or telling them something? But it's that sort of thing. That's that thing of being incredibly proud. I come from a very ordinary background. People think it wasn't, but my parents were incredibly ordinary, and they gave me everything, every single minute of my life. Like today, I think of my father because my father was my sort of hero. And every day, and I think, Daddy, you would be so proud of those All Blacks. You would be so proud of them. And you know what? I was really annoyed about. They got on the television. They told you how good the Welsh were, and they lost. And they lost. And I said, what? I said, hang on. The All Blacks won, but the Welsh lost. And I didn't hear nothing. No, be proud because I know that the All Blacks are going to win.
Don't you think deep down the Welsh team are better? Deep down the Welsh are better, aren't they?
They're overweight. They're overweight. You can't run around with that size. They're playing a game. If you look at the All Blacks, I would say the weight is quite a lot less because they're training that way.
Right.
They've got this the way they're working now. The Scots, who did incredibly well, I think they're all too happy because they can't. I mean, the Welsh halfway through were going at half time.
They should have exhaled, shouldn't they? They should have been.
No, they are a beefier group of people by the looks at the moment. My All Blacks are not.
I'm glad I prepared about talking about the New Zealand rugby team.
I think they must look at themselves sideways in the mirror, looking really, really good. You know, that look. Sometimes I look at myself sideways and I think, oh, that's not good. There's a bit hanging over them.
Only.
Stop talking about that.
No, it's fine. I was just thinking. Only Libby Purvis would be able to do a link from the All Blacks back to Mozart. But, as Libby's not here, we won't. So,
What were
Mozart.
we talking about?
We brought Wolfgang into the conversation. So we have singing lessons, we have language lessons and all that. And the other thing I'd love you to share with our audience and singers is you also sang with the world's greatest conductors. What did they offer you? If we just look at Mozart, was there any miraculous sentence you suddenly thought, God, that's a release? Or
No, I think from Mozart's point of view, I was really young and stupid. I always believed that's what got me through, the young and the stupid in the first couple of years. When I started working with Colin Davis, he just said, you will do this piece, Mozart, Requiem, Mozart, Exultate Jubilare, you will just do it. Okay, so I did it, so we coached it, and we coached it, and we coached it, and coached it. He didn't ever say you're not doing it right. He never said it was wrong.
Wonderful.
He just said we would just keep doing it and doing it. Yeah, that's right, that's right. There was never a time that I actually felt inadequate at any time. I think I was, but they didn't tell me that. That was the sort of the good thing about it. You will sing Mozart and you will sing it like this, and you will sing Mozart and you will sing, and it went on for years. Figaro was the same. You will sing it like this and you will sing it like this. We'll just do it. Just go over that again, Kiri, again and again. A year later, I'm still going over. I mean, you heard about the Figaro.
Yes.
I learned Figaro. It took me a year to learn Figaro because I was a bit slow. Anyway, so I learned it, and then my agent came and said, he said, I've got a really great job for you. You're going to sing Figaro in Santa Fe, New Mexico in about 6 months. I said, that's great. That's a good run-in for you, Kiri. It's correct. I said, great. Thank you. It's in English. In English, but I know it in Italian. No, it's in English. Okay, you've got 6 months to learn. All right. So I went off and you will learn Mozart and you will learn it in English. So I learned it all in English and got to Santa Fe and met my dear friend Flicker von Stade, it's very close to Carabino and all that sort of thing. So we're doing it all that. Then suddenly back to England, back to Figaro, back to the coaching in Italian. So I learned Figaro very well. So I thought that was a good start. So from that point on, I learned the così like that. I didn't learn it in English, but I learned the così as well as I did in the flute. Flute I wasn't so successful in because it was one of those things. I just love the così and I love the Figaro.
So what would you say to the younger Kiri now? On the Countess?
Work harder.
Really?
Yeah, I would say I should have worked harder. I don't think I gave. I think I gave a lot, but I think I could have worked harder.
Such as on what?
Harder. Just work harder.
So, do our singers today, do they work hard?
I think they do, yes, I do. I think they work extremely hard.
That is
but
lovely of you to say.
But it's still not enough.
It's lovely of you to say they do, because I absolutely agree with you.
I know they do.
Thank you.
And they work more intensely than I did. But don't forget, I was working with conductors who I didn't always have the time, or they had the time to work with me, so it was a little bit more difficult. But the thing is, I think the singers today are incredibly trained. They do a lot of things that I didn't do. I was on the wing most of the time. I was, really blagging it most of the time. But I learned quickly. I don't.
But are there some things today young singers do you think, no.
I think they try to please everybody too much. I think they try to please directors, conductors, anybody who will give them a job without saying, well, I really can't do that. And sometimes then they do the damage, which is the saddest thing of all. I was just been in Japan and listening to some young singers in age 16, 17, 18. They said, how do you do your top notes? I said, just wait. Just wait.
You know, you don't have a top note at 18, you have an immature top note. And then they said, well, how do you do this? And I said, you have to wait. So someone said to me, what did you tell them in Japan? And I said, in 2 hours, what can I tell them after 48 or 50 years of this sort of work? How much can you tell somebody in 2 hours? And the only thing I could say was be cautious. Just be very cautious. But that doesn't work. You can't tell a young people aged 18 to be cautious because they're not going to be. The only thing is they will learn to be cautious because hopefully the good sense will take over.
And what about vocalising? What do you feel about that?
Yeah.
Warm-up exercises?
Every day.
Every day?
Every day. 1 hour a day, every day, if not 2.
And is there a routine?
Yeah, chromatics. And I love doing octaves. So from the lower to the upper octave, with the 2 notes joined, crescendo, diminuendo, crescendo, diminuendo, as much as on the top, and then you just go back down to the lower. So that sort of thing. But chromatics a lot because pianos are different, or every piano, so you have to learn to chromatics up and down, and jumps and leaps, and snap breaths and things like that. Snapping breaths in order to say at the end of the phrase is very important. I teach that.
Teach us now, snap breath.
Just
try this side.
That's the best, so you don't have to take a breath out because you snap it in between.
Should we see what this side is like? 2, 3, 4.
But that snap breathing is very important. It's not necessarily taught, but I teach people how to snap breathe in order to be able to finish a phrase or just catch enough breath in between that in a cadenza or something like that.
Would you do it again?
You do it.
Try on top.
No, would you do it again? I've noticed I got the wrong key. I go from the la, I know. La, I'll do it slow. La, that's a very important, I think, they call them trick.
I think it's very important that the pianists and the singers carry on studying lead, and a couple of our young artists are going to share some Strauss with us, which might be a clue for later. Thank you.
Because in my opinion it almost seems as if the second could be a response to the first. In the first one I'm singing about how I'm going to keep my love secret and I'm so happy all day every day because I know that I've found my love. And in the second one I'm singing, well, how could I possibly keep my love secret because my happiness is echoed in nature and all of my surroundings, so how could it possibly be a secret?
Ich trage meine Minne vor Manne stumm im Herzen und im Sinne mit mir herum. Ja, dass ich mich gefunden für jedes Kind, das
These were amongst the first Strauss songs I'd ever heard, and I remember just being bowled over by this extraordinary writing. He writes so beautifully for the soprano voice, and they remain very special to me, so I hope to enjoy them.
Mit dem Rang
Dame Kiri, how did you know Strauss was going to become another marriage to your voice?
Well, your lovely singer said, absolutely, it's written beautifully. He writes beautifully from soprano. He gives the men a bad time, but he writes beautifully from soprano. You manage to sort of just sit up the top there, and he just gives you this lovely wash of accompaniment. It's so beautiful.
It's a terrible coffee table question or coffee book question, but was there a favourite Strauss role?
Well, I'd love to have done many more.
for all.
I mean, I love the ones I did. I particularly like Capriccio, but of course, I think Arabella was my favourite, if I say it. But then, of course, you go back to the Martian, and then you just sort of go all weepy when you listen to that music. And I used to always go and watch the second act. I loved the second act. And the presentation of the rose and all that. It was wonderful. I got a bit tired of Ox in the end, the last one. It was a bit overdone.
What about Four Last Songs?
Four Last Songs was something that's very special because it was the first Strauss I did. And
was it?
Yes, it was the very first. And I did it with John Pritchard. If you remember Darling John Pritchard, who was wonderful. And I started learning this, and I thought, oh my God, what is this?
Really?
Yeah. I thought it's unmusical. It's all blah. Then I started to listen a little bit harder because I think, I've got to do this. I've been told it's like the Mozart. You will learn the Strauss. You will learn the Strauss. So
you are obedient.
Well, I don't know. It's a bit like a training, to get the whip out. But somehow I believe that what I was being told, and once again, getting good advice. I had an amazing agent. I had a wonderful singing teacher. And then, of course, I had Sir George Schulte hovering in the background all the time. So with my Hungarian singing teacher, the agent who was, he was very, very good. But they guided me. Today you don't get guided as young singers. They book you, here's a job, off you go, sing it, and they say, well, how'd it go? Oh, well, they didn't come and see it. Well, we were busy. They don't always come to see you, agents. But at my time, they moulded you. They directed you. They mentored you. I remember this one ringing up and said, you will sing Arabella. I went, oh, all right, I'll sing Arabella. And I did. And then you will sing Martial, and then you will sing Capriccio. So I was guided in the right possible way. And people, I know one or two agents, managers now who really do look after singers. They really, really care, and they follow them, and they go and see them and guide them. As I have one singer at the moment who is doing very well with his agent manager, and she's looking after him incredibly, and it's because of her. He's also talented, but because of her, he is being put in the right places.
Lovely.
She is really, really looking after him, and I'm very proud to know both of them and see how they work so closely together. It's really quite a privilege to see my student, who I sort of backed for 10 years, being encouraged by the agent and manager and in the best possible way, and it's very rare to see these sorts of things.
I had the great pleasure and privilege and fear of playing for your singing teacher, Lila Rocha. Could you share with our young artists something about that legend?
Well, I was with her for 30 years. I didn't have another singing teacher. I had my first singing teacher in New Zealand, and then she was very kind and gentle, and she didn't do anything wrong with my voice, which was absolutely lovely. I never really went back to her to learn from her again because I found eventually Vera Rocha. And she was, as you know, she was quite strict. But the whole thing about her teaching was placement of tone and voice on the note, in the middle of the note, and where you put your breath. Okay, your breath was a certain place, and as you came down, your breath was in another place. And then when you went to the lower notes, you didn't need very much breath at all.
She was a musician as well.
She was, and she could play everything by heart.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
everything.
Badly, but by heart.
No, she was incredible. I played for her, I think she was about 70 or 75 when I first played when she was in the Darling. If you were a bit younger, I'd marry you. She was lovely.
But I must say that there was a few times I walked out of my singing lessons I'd had enough of you. That's it. When you're in a better mood, I'll come back. It wasn't if I was in a better mood, it was if she was in a better mood. She made me mad on many occasions, but it was because I wasn't achieving what I should have been. And of course, the best thing to do when you're really on the bad footing is walk out. And that wasn't quite good. But she always forgave me. She let me back in.
Well, may I pass on something to you? When I was playing for her, Vera Russia was an incredible, she's just incredible. And she had lots of...
She came through a lot in the war.
Oh, absolutely.
That gave her that strength.
Her musicianship, her knowledge, she was a very little lady, and I remember at Covent Garden doing this to Colin Davis, and I thought, I'm glad I'm not Colin Davis. at the end of that. But I remember once playing for her, and she said to me, and she said, I'm very good with, I like these young singers. And she mentioned you, Dame Kiri. She said, my studio is full of beautiful voices. But when that woman opens, I always remember, I quote exactly, when that woman opens her mouth, the sound is heaven. Never forget that. So, have you ever given any advice that you're happy to ignore? Because young singers feel they should take advice the whole time.
I think you should, but then you filter it out as to what suits you. You can't take all the advice and think that it's all going to work. I think if you have a feeling, I started off as a mezzo, I ended up being a soprano. That was quite good. And my teacher, she guided me all the way through. And now I was having some, I don't call it vocal difficulties, but I was having difficulties in part of my voice which I didn't like. And I kept coming back. I said, right, no, there it is. And she'd say, what are you talking about? No. I said, look, I've just done it again. No. She said, what's going on? And I went up there month after month, year after year, trying to correct this. And all I was doing was pushing. That's all I was doing.
Extraordinary.
Yeah, I was pushing on a part of my voice which didn't like it. So I just stopped pushing, and it worked. But you just have to figure out that she kept saying, there's nothing wrong with this, nothing wrong. I kept on saying, there is something wrong. And I just found that one out for myself, of course, that you don't push. Once you push, it all goes wrong.
Absolutely. So you don't feel well, and there's a performance, and everybody tells you, oh, you sound fine, it's lovely. How do you deal with that?
Well, if you sound fine and it's lovely, that's fine. But if you're not feeling well...
But if you don't, that's fine.
Yeah, but if you're not feeling well, which means you're under the weather, you've got a cold coming on, or you've just over the flu and stuff, how good are you? So you go into the room, or you go to your singing teacher and say, what is it sounding like? And hopefully your singing teacher will tell you the right thing, because don't listen to people who will tell you the right thing. Listen to someone who you absolutely believe in, or yourself. And I remember I went to do something and I knew I couldn't sing it. I just knew it, so I had to cancel. And when you cancel, it's really harder to cancel than it is to sing, because no one wants you to cancel. And you just know very well it's not going to work. So you just have to be very brave and say, I cannot do it, I cannot sing, and then turn off the telephone. And that's it, that's all you can do. Because they will ring, they will call you and ring, and please go and see the doctor. The doctor will call you for the steroids or cortisone or something, and they'll pump you up, and 10 days later you are out for weeks. You have to go with what is actually happening. Believe, just believe.
You're also very well known for singing lighter music. What does that do when you sing?
Ask me why I sang it.
Well, why?
Because I got bored singing the other stuff.
Right, we'll rewind the tape. Dame Kiri,
yes.
Why did you sing the light repertoire?
Oh, because I like to. Well, I had a chance to work with Nelson Riddle. Now that was one reason.
Yeah.
And some beautiful orchestrations. But I got very tired of singing the other stuff. So I wanted to have a little, diversion. And loved it. I did love it. But my voice is geared for opera. And the light stuff is fine. But leave it up to people who can sing it better.
Do you follow Twitter?
No.
Do you know people are going crazy that they're not using your voice on the soundtrack?
I love that. Oh, well, thank you. I didn't sing it like that, but did you hear me do it?
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah. You worked something out there. Here you go.
What is it? No, it's sort of, if somebody who wants something new and modern and knows nothing, and you were saying, people know nothing in lots of ways. They like high notes and da-da-da-da.
And that sort of sounds modern. It's sort of like up to date 2015.
Well, as you know, all our young artists now, the opera houses, they're nearly all casting musicals as part of the training. Well, not as part of the training, but as part of what our young singers need to do. So we're going to finish with a few of the lighter moments.
But I think it's a great, I think it's a good idea. Modern music, I mean, people say they haven't heard of J. Kegi. Pete, you should be learning J. Kegi because eventually his operas are going to come around here. And so there should be some J. Kegi in the repertoire these days. There's lots of good stuff. And musical theatre is very, very good for them. But it isn't, they have to learn to do it well, in that they don't start doing the wrong way, singing the wrong way, singing like the musical theatre people normally do. So they have to use their voice. And I listen to Ella Fitzgerald. I mean, listen to that voice. It's just so natural. She sings along. It's the most beautiful sound. And that's all you've got to do. You don't have to push or anything to sing musical theatre.
So, we're very busy. The whole world.
I'm trying not to be. I've just had 2 knees replaced. That's why I'm looking like a cripple at the moment. The right knee is not working today. I don't know why. It's just given up on me today. So it's so I'm busy. I want to stop. But there's a lot to be done.
There is a lot to be done.
Yeah.
So could you share with us the foundation you founded?
The foundation.
Why find?
I thought that I would leave money when I died, and someone said, "Well, you're no good dead, so let's do it when you're alive." So 10, 11 years ago, I started my foundation, which was for New Zealanders, mainly New Zealanders, because there was no money available over here. They could go for competitions, but there was no money available over here. So I started raising money. And banks were helping me, Rolex helped me incredibly, and are still helping me, which is, I'm getting scholarships from them each year up for the next 2 or 3 years now. And they're very, very supportive of my foundation. We have, as you've heard already, James Ayuru here. We have 3 students that you're working with, one, Thomas Atkins, at Guildhall. We have 2 students in America. We have 1 in Australia at the moment, and we've got more coming through. So my foundation is helping up to 10 students at this moment. Very proud of it, very proud of them. Each and every one is absolutely gorgeous, and they're actually good looking as well. I don't choose the pretty ones, I just choose the ones with good voices. But they happen to be pretty at the same time.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we're just going to hear some of the lighter music from our illustrious world. And then maybe some questions that our singers want to ask you or the audience. Yeah. So thank you very much.
Right, Lee.
Tonight by Ben San Lau. We will be playing and singing Come Into the Garden Lord by Michael William Balfe. This is there was no other way to describe it, a bit of a ridiculous song. It is firmly placed in the Victoriana repertoire, and it is about a man standing in a garden serenading Maud, who is currently in her house, and he is begging her to come out.
And the musk of the rose is blown, for a breeze of morning moves, and the planet of love is on high, beginning to faint in the light that she loves on a bed of daffodil sky. To faint in the light of the sun she loves, to faint in the light and Come into the garden, Lord, for the black bat night has flown. Come to the garden, Lord, I am here at the gate alone. I am here at the gate alone. I am here at the gate alone. Queen of the rosebud, garden of girls, come hither, the dances are done. In gloss of satin and glimmer of pearls, Queen Lily and Rose in one. Shine out, little heads, standing under with curls, to the flowers and me the sun. Shine out, and be the sun. Come into the garden, Lord, for the black that night has flown. Come into the garden, Lord. She is coming, my rose, my sweet. When it ever so any a tread, my heart would hear her and beat if you were left in an earthy bed. Come, my own, my sweet. Come, my own, my sweet. Maud, Maud, come. I'm here at the gate alone.
I firstly need to say that I won't be singing anything from Porgy and Bess, but that's okay. I've got something else for you. This next piece was made famous actually by Frank Sinatra and Barbara Streisand. I would have loved to have done this with Kiri Te Kanawa, but unfortunately I didn't have time in my schedule. It's just the NOS, the National Opera Studio, they so much coaching. Anyway, here we go.
possibly care for a cozy cottage that we could share, the world will pardon my wish, 'cause I have got a crush, my baby, on you. Could you possibly care for a cozy cottage that we could share, the world will pardon my mush, 'cause I have got a crush, my Kiri on you. 'Cause I have got a crush, my Kiri on you.
You're in, bro. You're in.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Wu. Today, me and my lovely accompanist Leticia will perform I Could Have Danced All Night.
I couldn't go to bed. The high school life would try to set it down. Sleep, sleep, I couldn't sleep all night. All the truth in the ground. I could have danced all night. I could have danced all night. And still have begged for more. I could have spread my wings and done 1,000 things I've never done before. I've never known what made it so exciting. When all it was, my heart took flight.
finished?
We were going to invite some of the young artists and maybe the audience to ask any questions, but it seems quite apparent at the moment. One man has a burning question for you, so Dingle, would you? Would you like to Dingle Yangle?
It was all an act. It was all an act.
I think it was.
It was all an act.
I've just been told that she has a boyfriend.
Really?
Yeah.
Three.
Well, it might become four. You know, which
Three.
one?
I like uneven. Single, thank you. It was gorgeous. They were all gorgeous. Thank you so much. Beautiful.
Any questions? Please.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Dame Kiri for giving me many decades of great joy. I would really love to know why no Puccini?
Not my choice. Maestro here is the conductor.
This evening? Well...
Oh, no.
Oh.
Over the last, years.
Oh.
Mine?
Yes.
I mean, you mean in performance or...
Yes, I've never heard you in Puccini.
In Puccini. Well, I had so much Strauss to learn, and that took a lot. Strauss was really, really a big job, and Mozart, both Mozart and Strauss, which was really wonderful for my voice, because my singing teacher used to say that Mozart is lubrication for your voice. And every time I would sing Puccini, which was only bohème or I would sing arias, I would come back and have to get my voice back into place because the Puccini would push it out of place. And it was very hard to go back to singing Mozart after having done a whole run of Puccini. It really was back to the drawing board again each time. And I think singers would most certainly notice this too.
Anyone else?
I've got one.
What's that?
Plain evidence says the eye seduces the ear. Now, you clearly seduced at least Dingle Yangle and all the gentlemen. You look absolutely wonderful. You've always looked wonderful. Do you think that it's part and parcel of what is expected nowadays? Do you think it's important in terms of casting? Do we have to be very linguistic about our assets and, how have you looked at it? Because you are a great example of everyone.
When I first came to England, I had no expectations of how one should look. I was who I was. I was quite tall, I had fairly strong, fairly body. For singing, you have to have, a certain amount of weight on you to sing. But on top of everything else, people do look at you differently now, and you have to present very well. And being the person I am, I always had a certain pride on how I looked. So I was always very careful. Sometimes I wasn't always careful with my diet, but then I found that if I gained weight one week, it was sure as how going to come off the next week. And so I would always be very careful. I think it's very important to be proud of what you are, and also to expose the assets that you have. If you have beautiful shoulders, make sure that's all that's seen. I always remember my dressmaker saying, you've got very lovely shoulders. So I used to make sure that all the dresses came to just a certain point, that it never went too far up or down, so the shoulders were always revealed. And so any assets that you've got, make sure they shine only, and then keep everything else hidden. I don't know if it's...
I'd like to ask something. We touched a little bit about health and sometimes you thought you have to cancel. What about the psychological aspect of it? What about, did you ever find yourself in the position of not being fully able to focus when you were on stage? And if so, did you have any way? So, did you find your mind ever wandering?
No.
Never?
No.
Why not?
Never let it.
How did you not let it?
Never. I didn't. Only one time I remember having a shopping list. I was walking down the stairs doing Arabella. I was doing the shopping for the next day. I thought, no, I truly did. I made the shopping list on the way down the stairs. But that was the first and last time. No, there is no space. There's no space to defocus. It's business. It's business. You are up there to do a job. You've taken how many hours to learn to even get one of the notes, and how many hours have you learned to do the whole opera. You don't take a chance at any of non-focus. Never. It's not possible. If you do, you lose the plot, and someone else will step in and they'll focus better than you do. There's always someone behind there. There's always someone in the stable behind the door. They're waiting to knock you down. I can promise you that. There's no chance. And you boys and you girls are in the most beautiful school, the most amazing school. You're only few, so you will learn not to do that. Have you found that sometimes you've...
No, never.
No, that's
but I wondered if that was luck.
No. No.
I just thought, over a lifetime, I would expect there might be moments. But then you're able to, what you used to counterbalance that was a sense of competition, maybe. Is that fair?
Well, that could be, but only if there's a tragedy. If there was like a death in your family, you would become unfocused, yes. So you've got to give yourself a chance, give yourself permission to take that focus away and try and get it back on track when you need it. And sometimes, I remember when I was going through a very, very bad part of my life, that I remember Schulte, I said, just about to divorce, and Schulte said, what the hell do you do? What the hell do you do? What the hell do you do? I said, screaming at me, and I say, well, I'll just get up and I'll sing it. And I did. And he was there every night saying, are you all right? I said, don't ask me that. I said, I'm all right, I'm all right. And it was the focus of getting the performance done that got me through. I didn't make damage for myself because it was too important. There's a whole orchestra out there, there's an audience out there, there's the opera house that do not need for you to lose your focus. So it didn't happen.
Well, Dame Kiri, thank you so much. I'm sure many people want to thank you a bit later.
Thank you also for coming in and supporting National Opera Studio. It's such a good school, and I've been part of it for a number of years. So I hope that you will continue to support it, and young people will give you what you want, which is good performances.
All the singers would sing an encore, and I would love to publicly thank my brilliant colleague Jeremy Silver, who's done an arrangement of the most beautiful ensemble from La Rondinée. So, thank you.
loud one sometimes. That was amongst the most beautiful and loudest, I think. But thank you all. Thank you, Dame Kiri and Mark, for illuminating discussion. You've got from Dame Kiri herself the sense of dedication she has to the profession and the money she's putting back into the foundation. And also, I had the privilege of seeing from the chair how at every singer she was urging them on. Real commitment to developing talent, and that's what this is all about. And thank you, these wonderful singers. They are, of course, already good when they come. They've had typically 6 or so years of research, and they come with a lot of talent. And I had the privilege of listening to them on their very first day of the studio. We have a board meeting specially designed to coincide with the first day, or almost the first week anyway, of their tenure here. It was only last month. It seems a long time ago, but it is only last month, right? And they've got the rest of the year, and believe me, they'll be even better, a lot even better by the end, because they've been put through a great deal of intensive training. And of course, operas is so demanding because it's everything. It's the music, it's the drama, and they get into that, and the physical movement, and the language, the sort of psychology of acting, and the repetiteurs. There are 12 singers, 4 repetiteurs, and they're much more than just pianists, accompanists. So they have to learn the whole opera inside out, and they'll go on to be pillars of music staffs and sometimes conductors as well for the future. So this is a really important piece of training, and it's expensive, it's intensive. We don't charge any fees, so we don't have any bars to people coming, and therefore we have to cover the cost. Now, half the cost, roughly, is taken by the Arts Council and the 6 main opera companies. As we said earlier, the 6 main opera companies, that's Royal Opera House, ENO, Glyndebourne, Opera North, Welsh and Scottish, support the studio, but we still have to find about £300,000 a year on top of that, which comes from individuals, trusts and corporates. The individuals are really critical, and several of you in this room are regular supporters, which we're hugely grateful. We're hugely grateful to all of you who've paid over the odds ticket. I don't think it is actually over the odds because more than we usually charge here. Some have come from our list, some have come from the network contacts. So you've already made a contribution. So why would I have the gall to ask for any more money? Well, as Kathryn said, I don't take in prisoners. So you're kept here till we get some more money. And there is an envelope there which you can put some money in. But there is a case for doing it. I think that the National Opera Studio wants to remain at the forefront of talent development, which is changing all the time. The needs of the profession are changing and becoming ever more demanding. And the Arts Council are in fact asking us, we're talking with them about giving us £25,000 to do a study of how the National Opera Studio fits in the wider ecosystem of opera development, from coming out of the conservatoires, organisations like BYO, other summer schools, festivals, opera courses of summer festivals, etc., and of course leading into the opera company's own schemes, those 6 companies, but also lots of little companies have associate artist development, etc. How does this all fit together? What's our role in it? And to do that properly will require more than £25,000. So we're seeking some extra money to make that an even more comprehensive study. But of course there are lots of ways. There are levels of support we've set out in this brochure, which also, by the way, in the pack tells you where they perform, because performance exposure is also important. And I always say, and some of you may have heard this before, that if you spend money on luxuries, it's a diminishing return. I'm very glad that Rolex gives money to Kiri, and part of that comes their profit. So we want more money to be spent on watches. Although, you know, I've had this watch for 10 years and it only cost 50 quid, and it works very well. Because actually, if you spend a lot more money on watches, it doesn't really improve the functionality very much. The same with cars. But if you put money into talent development, there's an increasing return, not a diminishing return. And it's increasing because the more you put in, the more kind of psychological reward you get from seeing wonderful talent develop and be sustained over time, whether it's individuals or a group of individuals or an organisation. It's enormously rewarding to get something back and saying, well, I made a difference there. So think about that, and as you look at the envelope, or you consider the levels of support, or you want to talk about an individual thing, and then one or two of you might even be interested in this study, then think about those things, because they are important to us. We do need the money. But for now, there's drinks, there's a lot more characters.